Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. And since we got a really awesome new look at Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 recently, I thought I would check out Christos Gage's Spider-Man 2 Issue 1, the one-shot tie-in comic for the upcoming game. The issue catches us up with our two friendly neighborhood Spider-Men, Peter Parker and Miles Morales, as they are battling Tarantula, a battle which actually makes reference to Spider-Geddon Issue 0, something which I was kind of surprised by, but yeah, kind of makes sense since Gage wrote both those issues. Peter and Miles' fight ends up interrupting an interview between Mary Jane Watson and J. Jonah Jameson, picking up a thread from Miles' game that revealed that MJ was writing a book on Symkaria, and that book kind of bombed pretty badly and left her kind of in a lurch, hence why she's on Jameson's podcast defending her work. Peter has also been doing it tough as well, dealing with the aftermath of Aunt May's death, so he has to deal with like the debts she had left over in the mortgage to help fund feast she had, so he's got to deal with all that, and it leads him to kind of jokingly but also not kind of jokingly ask if MJ wants to move in with him, only as a roommate that is. Miles is also going through some stuff as well, as he's beginning to think about college and what he's going to do with his life, wanting to keep up with his more creative aspirations with music and his art, but also wants to not let his tech and engineering skills go to waste. This is all some pretty heavy plot building and character development, especially for a tie-in, which usually is just action with one or two little game tie-ins that will be referenced in the game itself. But Gage really gets into it with the characters and makes it feel like a prolonged cutscene from the game, or like just a piece of the game where you're playing as Peter Parker or Miles Morales. The trio's need to upgrade their equipment takes the story in an interesting direction, as the Hood makes his presence known to New York as the heroes stumble upon his operation, battling his gang who are kind of picking through the wreckage that the Tinkerer left over and taking parts of her technology that was just scattered around the town. Gage tackles Hood in an interesting way since the character is magic based in the comics, which doesn't really gel with the rather realistic take on Spider-Man and his villains that Insomniac Games have crafted for the series. So it's revealed that his quote-unquote magic is just fancy cloaking tech, among other things that allow him to fly and appear like he has magic, things that Parker Robbins has taken from the Tinkerer's leftover tech catchers. Magic does make a brief appearance as we discover that Hood has taken what I assume is the Lifeline tablet. It's not outrightly stated though what he's using it for, which is to attempt to cure his mother's cancer, is very in line with what the tablet can do. As I said before, this is quite a fair bit of a meaty plot for a video game tie-in, especially since all of this wouldn't feel out of place in the game, as the first two were filled with fantastic bits and pieces about the characters, the villains, their lives outside of superheroing and everything. Maybe it's just a case of cut content or things that just didn't have any room in the new game, since we'll be dealing with quite a fair bit in that new game, from symbiotes to Kraven to all sorts of other stuff that they haven't revealed yet. Whatever the case is, I'm glad we got this comic since it gave Christos a chance to play with these versions of the Spider-Man again. His voice for Peter and Miles is fantastic. They both have a clear identity and characteristics, and honestly, it's just nice to have a Spider-Man book that isn't an absolute dumpster fire thanks to editorial demanding that horrible things happen to Peter, MJ, and their supporting cast. Maybe it's because it's disconnected from all of that. There is a simplicity to the story that has been sorely missing from Spider-Man for a very long time. He fights a villain, he discovers the villain's backstory, decides to help the villain since they mean well. There's no weirdo multiverse web of spiders, spider totem, shenanigan things happen. It's just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 Issue 1, as video game tie-ins go, is chock full of lovely and important story and great pieces of character development for this version of Peter, Miles, MJ, and their supporting cast, expanding their stories from the first two games, introducing the game first versions of a couple of new villains, and laying the groundwork for a few plot threads for the game. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10, and you can check this issue out completely free over at the Marvel Unlimited app.